The storm. The weather forecast had called for light snow. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison watched his truck's thermometer drop another 3 degrees as visibility reduced to barely 20 feet. This wasn't light snow, this was a full-scale blizzard that had materialized with the kind of speed that killed unprepared travelers. Jake's SEAL training had taught him to recognize when situations were about to go catastrophically wrong. This qualified. He should have stopped at the last town, found a motel, and waited out the storm. But he was only 90 miles from his brother's ranch, and after 6 months of deployment in the Middle East followed by 3 weeks of recovering from a shrapnel wound in his shoulder, he just wanted to get home. Then he saw the hazard lights, a minivan on the shoulder, barely visible through the whiteout conditions. Every tactical instinct said keep driving. Don't get involved. Civilians complicate operations. But Jake's moral compass, the one that made him join the SEALs in the first place, the one that believed in protecting people, overrode training. He pulled over, grabbed his go-bag full of emergency supplies, and approached the van. The driver's window lowered, revealing a woman in her early 30s with dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun, wearing a USMC jacket. Her brown eyes were sharp with stress but calm, military composure under pressure. "Engine died," she said without preamble. "I'm Maya Torres, Staff Sergeant, Marine Corps. These are my kids, Emma and Lucas." She gestured to the back seat where 2 children sat bundled in coats, their breath visible in the rapidly cooling vehicle. "I called for assistance, but they're saying 4 to 6 hours before anyone can get here. Roads are closing." Jake assessed quickly. The van's interior was already cold, the kids were showing early signs of hypothermia, pale faces, shivering, and the temperature was dropping fast. 4 to 6 hours was a death sentence. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, Navy SEALs. "I have a 4-wheel drive truck with survival gear." He made the decision without hesitation. "We need to move now. The storm's getting worse." Maya's Marine training meant she didn't waste time with false pride or unnecessary questions. She understood tactical assessments. "Agreed. Kids, we're switching vehicles with Mr. Morrison. Move quickly." Emma, maybe 6 years old, looked scared. Lucas, younger, for at most, was already crying softly. Jake knelt to their level despite the wind and snow battering him. "Hey guys, I'm Jake. I'm a friend of your mom's from the military. We're going to go sit in my really warm truck until help comes, okay? It's like an adventure. Like camping." Emma's voice was small but brave. "Exactly like camping. But warmer." Jake smiled, and something in his genuine warmth made Emma nod. They transferred everyone to Jake's truck, children first, then bags, then Maya. By the time Jake climbed into the driver's seat, visibility had dropped to almost 0. "We're not driving anywhere in this," Maya said, reading conditions with military precision. "We'd go off the road within a mile." "Agreed." Jake started the engine, letting heat flow but monitoring the fuel gauge. "We shelter here. I've got emergency blankets, MREs, water, and a full tank of gas. We'll be okay until services can reach us." But even as he said it, the wind howled harder, and snow began to pile against the truck's windows with alarming speed. This was going to be a very long night. "Why did you stop?" Maya asked quietly, her voice low enough that the kids in the back seat couldn't hear over the heater. "Most people wouldn't have. Most people aren't SEALs." Jake checked his emergency supplies, distributing blankets. "We leave no one behind. Doesn't matter if they're teammates or strangers on a Montana highway." Maya studied him, this stranger who just put his own life at risk for her family, and saw something in his eyes that her Marine instincts recognized: honor, duty, and the kind of fundamental goodness that made people run toward danger instead of away from it. "Thank you," she said simply. "For not walking away. Not in my nature." Jake turned to the back seat, where Emma and Lucas were huddled under blankets. "So, Who wants to hear about the time I saw a dolphin race a Navy ship? As the storm raged and the temperature continued to drop, Jake kept the children distracted with stories while Maya watched this Navy SEAL, this stranger who'd become their lifeline, and wondered if maybe, just maybe, some people were meant to cross your path exactly when you needed them most. Even in the middle of a deadly blizzard. Even when you'd stopped believing in rescue. Survival and connection. Hours blurred together as the blizzard intensified. Jake rationed the truck's heat carefully, 20 minutes on, 40 minutes off, using emergency blankets and body heat to compensate. He'd seen people die from exposure in less severe conditions. This wasn't a situation for half measures. Emma had fallen into restless sleep curled against Maya in the back seat, wrapped in thermal blankets. Lucas, however, was wide awake despite the late hour, his 4-year-old energy fighting exhaustion. "Mr. Jake." Lucas's small voice carried from the back. "Are we gonna be okay?" Jake turned in his seat, meeting Maya's eyes briefly before addressing the boy. "You know what, buddy? Your mom's a Marine. I'm a SEAL. That means we're both really, really good at keeping people safe. And we're going to keep you and Emma super safe until the storm stops. I promise." "Daddy was a Marine too," Lucas said matter-of-factly. "But he's in heaven now. Mommy says he's watching over us." Jake felt the weight of that statement, the child's simple acceptance of loss that shouldn't be part of any 4-year-old's vocabulary. He glanced at Maya, saw pain flicker across her face before she controlled it with the discipline of someone who'd learned to carry grief while still functioning. "Then he picked a great person to watch over," Jake said gently. "Your mom's pretty amazing." "She is," Lucas agreed seriously. "She's the strongest person ever. Except maybe you, because you're really big." Despite the situation, both adults smiled. Jake pulled out an Marie from his survival kit. "How about some adventure food? It's what soldiers eat when we're on missions." For the next hour, he entertained Lucas with stories carefully edited for young ears, SEAL training that sounded like an obstacle course, missions that became treasure hunts, the camaraderie that he described as having the best friends in the world. Maya listened, recognizing the sanitized versions of operations that were undoubtedly classified and dangerous, appreciating how he made military service sound heroic without glorifying violence. When Lucas finally drifted off, Jake and Maya shared the front seat in the relative warmth, speaking in low tones that wouldn't wake the children. 2 years, Maya said quietly, answering the question Jake hadn't asked. IED in Kandahar. Marcus was convoy security. He was everything. Father, husband, my best friend. Her voice remained steady, she'd told this story enough times that she could do it without breaking. The Marines were good to us. Benefits, support, counseling for the kids. But you can't replace a parent. You can't explain to a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old why daddy isn't coming home. I'm sorry. Jake's words were inadequate, but his tone held genuine understanding. We lost 3 guys from my team last year. Different circumstances, same grief. There's no easy way through it. No, there isn't. Maya looked at her sleeping children. But you keep going because you have to. They need me functional, not falling apart. So you compartmentalize, you follow routine, you take it one day at a time. That's why you're driving through Montana in December. Going to my parents for Christmas. First time since Marcus died that I've felt ready to do holidays with family. They live in Billings, supposed to be a 7-hour drive. Maya's laugh was slightly bitter. Should have checked the weather forecast more carefully. Nobody predicted this storm accurately. Jake monitored the temperature gauge, it was dropping into dangerous territory outside. Not your fault. Just bad luck and worse timing. Story of military life. Maya pulled her jacket tighter. How long were you deployed? 6 months. Counter-terrorism operation in Syria. Last mission went sideways, took shrapnel in the shoulder, got sent home for recovery. Jake rotated his shoulder unconsciously, the injury still tender. Doctor says another month before I'm cleared for full duty. Is that where you were headed? Back to your team? My brother's ranch, actually. He's retired Army, runs a place outside Bozeman. Told me I could hole up there during recovery, help with the horses, pretend to be a civilian for a few weeks. Jake's smile was wry. I'm not very good at the civilian part. I know that feeling. Maya met his eyes, and something passed between them, recognition of shared experience, the understanding that came from both serving in communities that most people couldn't fully comprehend. It's hard to turn it off. The vigilance, the tactical thinking, the way you're always assessing exits and threats. Even in a blizzard, stuck in a truck. Jake gestured around them. I've already calculated how long our supplies will last, what the survival priorities are if we have to abandon the vehicle, 3 different ways to signal for help. And I've been evaluating whether the children can walk if needed, what we'd carry, how to keep them calm in an emergency evacuation. Maya's admission came with a self-deprecating smile. We're probably the most prepared stranded motorists in Montana history. There are worse things to be. Jake checked his phone, still no signal, not surprising given the storm and rural location. When this is over, when you're safe with your parents, you should be proud. You kept your kids calm, made tactical decisions under pressure, adapted to circumstances. That's leadership. That's parenting while military. But Maya appreciated the recognition. Most people saw single mothers struggling, Jake saw a Marine executing a mission. Thank you, by the way. For all of this. For stopping, for the supplies, for keeping my children from panicking. You didn't have to do any of it. Yes, I did. Jake's response was simple, absolute. I don't know how to see people in trouble and not help. It's coded into me at this point, probably was even before the SEALs, but definitely is now. You walk away from someone who needs help, you lose part of what makes you worth being. The words hung in the cold air between them, and Maya found herself looking at this man, really looking at him, for the first time since he'd pulled over. Strong features, tired eyes that had seen too much, an injury he'd sustained protecting others, and now here, protecting her children with the same dedication he'd give his own team. Emma asked earlier if you had kids, Maya said quietly. I told her you were a soldier who helps people. She asked if that meant you were a hero. I said yes. I'm not a hero. Jake's discomfort with the label was evident. I'm just. You're someone who stopped in a blizzard to save strangers. Who's been keeping my children warm and calm for 12 hours. Who's sharing his supplies and possibly saving all our lives. Maya's voice was firm. That's heroic, Jake. You can be uncomfortable with the word, but it doesn't make it less true. The truck's cab felt smaller suddenly, the space between them charged with something neither had expected. Gratitude mixed with respect, professional courtesy bleeding into personal interest, the natural pull between two people who recognized something valuable in each other. When this is over, Jake started. When this is over, Maya interrupted gently, I'd like to thank you properly. Maybe dinner, if you're staying in the area. If you want. Jake held her gaze, seeing not just a Marine sergeant or a mother in crisis, but Maya, strong, capable, beautiful even after 12 hours of survival stress, and someone he very much wanted to know better. I'd like that, he said. I'd like that a lot. Dawn finally broke through the storm, pale light revealing mountains of snow and a world transformed into white silence. Within an hour, they heard the sound of emergency vehicles, snowplows and rescue teams finally able to reach them. As EMTs checked the children and Maya, Jake gathered his scattered supplies. A paramedic approached him, shaking his head in professional respect. You saved their lives, you know. Another few hours in that van, and the hypothermia would have been critical. Smart thinking getting them into your vehicle. Just did what needed doing. But Jake felt the weight of it now, how close it had been, how different this morning could have looked. Maya found him as they prepared to leave in the rescue vehicle. Emma was holding her hand, Lucas was already asleep in a paramedic's arms. "The hospital in Bozeman," Maya said. "They're taking us there for observation." "Your brother's ranch is near there, right?" 20 miles outside town. Jake understood what she was asking, whether he'd follow, whether last night meant anything beyond survival necessity. "Good." Maya's smile was genuine, tired, and full of possibility. "Then maybe you'll stop by. Let the kids thank you properly." "Let me thank you properly." "I'll be there," Jake promised. "Soon as you're cleared." As the rescue vehicles departed, Jake driving his truck carefully behind them through cleared roads, he found himself thinking about the past 12 hours in ways that transcended tactical survival. He'd stopped because it was the right thing to do. He was following because of Maya, and the way she'd made him feel like maybe, just maybe, there was space in his life for something beyond missions and duty. Space for connection. Space for family. Space for a woman who understood exactly what it meant to serve, to sacrifice, and to keep going even when loss tried to break you. The storm had passed. But something new was just beginning. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. New beginnings. The hospital discharged Maya and her children after 6 hours of observation, minor dehydration, no frostbite, no lasting effects from their ordeal. Jake waited in the lobby, having checked himself in only long enough for the doctors to confirm his shoulder injury hadn't been aggravated. Emma spotted him first, breaking free from Maya's hand to run across the waiting room. "Mr. Jake. You stayed." Jake caught her gently, mindful of her recent stress. "Of course I stayed. Had to make sure my favorite camping buddies were okay." "We got hot chocolate," Lucas announced from Maya's arms, holding up an empty cup as evidence. "And the doctor said I was very brave." "You were the bravest." Jake stood, and his eyes met Maya's over the children's heads. She looked exhausted but relieved, her marine composure still in place but with softer edges now that the immediate crisis had passed. "Your truck's outside," Maya said. "We should let you get to your brother's ranch. You've done enough. Have dinner with us." The words came out before Jake could second-guess them. "Tonight. All of you. There's a family place in town, my brother says they make the best burgers in Montana. Let me feed you something that isn't an MRE." Maya hesitated, her independence warring with genuine desire to see him again. Emma made the decision for her. "Please, Mommy. Mr. Jake tells the best stories. And I didn't get to finish the one about the dolphins," Jake added with a smile that made Maya's heart do something complicated in her chest. "Okay," she agreed. "Dinner. But we're paying. It's the least I can do after you saved our lives. We'll negotiate that later." Jake wasn't going to let her pay, but he also recognized the pride of a Marine who didn't like feeling indebted. They'd figure it out. That evening, at a diner with red vinyl booths and a jukebox playing classic country, they shared burgers and fries while Emma and Lucas colored on placemats and listened to Jake's carefully edited military stories. The waitress assumed they were a family, a natural assumption given how comfortable they were together, and neither Jake nor Maya corrected her. After the children finished eating, they moved to a booth near the back with a view of the Christmas lights downtown, giving Emma and Lucas their tablets with headphones to watch a movie. Adult conversation time. "This is nice," Maya admitted, cradling coffee in both hands. "Normal. I haven't felt normal in a long time." "Define normal." Jake's smile was understanding. "Because I'm pretty sure neither of us has had normal since we joined the military." "Fair point." Maya watched her children, content and safe, before returning her attention to Jake. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Depends on the classification level." But his tone said she could ask anything. "Why aren't you married?" "Attached?" "Someone like you," she gestured vaguely, encompassing his character, his capability, everything that made him remarkable. "How has no one locked you down?" Jake was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. I was engaged once. 7 years ago, before I made SEAL. She couldn't handle the deployments, the uncertainty, the way I'd come back different after missions. She said loving me was like loving a ghost. I was there but not really there, always halfway out the door to the next operation. He took a drink of his coffee. She wasn't wrong. The job takes everything. Most relationships can't survive it. Most, Maya echoed. Not all. No. Not all. Jake met her eyes directly. What about you? Have you dated since your husband? No. Maya's answer was immediate. I couldn't. The grief was too fresh, the kids needed stability, and honestly, I couldn't imagine anyone understanding. Understanding what it means to be military, to be a single parent, to carry loss while still functioning. The Marines who understand the military part don't always get the parent part. Civilians who might understand parenting don't get the military culture. She paused. But you got both. Last night, you understood exactly what needed to happen tactically, but you also kept my children calm and safe. That's rare. Maybe we're both rare, Jake suggested. Two people who happen to understand each other's language. We'll negotiate that later. Jake wasn't going to let her pay, but he also recognized the pride of a Marine who didn't like feeling indebted. They'd figure it out. That evening, at a diner with red vinyl booths and a jukebox playing classic country, they shared burgers and fries while Emma and Lucas colored on placemats and listened to Jake's carefully edited military stories. The waitress assumed they were a family, a natural assumption given how comfortable they were together, and neither Jake nor Maya corrected her. After the children finished eating, they moved to a booth near the back with a view of the Christmas lights downtown, giving Emma and Lucas their tablets with headphones to watch a movie. Adult conversation time. This is nice, Maya admitted, cradling coffee in both hands. Normal. I haven't felt normal in a long time. Define normal. Jake's smile was understanding. Because I'm pretty sure neither of us has had normal since we joined the military. Fair point. Maya watched her children, content and safe, before returning her attention to Jake. Can I ask you something personal? Depends on the classification level. But his tone said she could ask anything. Why aren't you married? Attached? Someone like you, she gestured vaguely, encompassing his character, his capability, everything that made him remarkable. How has no one locked you down? Jake was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. I was engaged once. 7 years ago, before I made SEAL. She couldn't handle the deployments, the uncertainty, the way I'd come back different after missions. She said loving me was like loving a ghost. I was there but not really there, always halfway out the door to the next operation. He took a drink of his coffee. She wasn't wrong. The job takes everything. Most relationships can't survive it. Most, Maya echoed. Not all. No. Not all. Jake met her eyes directly. What about you? Have you dated since your husband? No. Maya's answer was immediate. I couldn't. The grief was too fresh, the kids needed stability, and honestly, I couldn't imagine anyone understanding. Understanding what it means to be military, to be a single parent, to carry loss while still functioning. The Marines who understand the military part don't always get the parent part. Civilians who might understand parenting don't get the military culture. She paused. But you got both. Last night, you understood exactly what needed to happen tactically, but you also kept my children calm and safe. That's rare. Maybe we're both rare, Jake suggested. Two people who happen to understand each other's language. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility and caution in equal measure. I leave in 3 weeks, Jake said, needing honesty up front. Return to active duty. Deployments are classified, timelines are unpredictable. I could be gone for months. I understand that life, Maya reminded him. I live it too. Different branch, different specialty, but the same reality. I deploy for logistics coordination, not as dangerous as what you do, but still months away from home, still missed birthdays and holidays. So we both know what we'd be getting into. If there's a week to get into. Maya's voice carried hope and hesitation. Jake, I haven't done this in a long time. Dating while military, while a single parent, while carrying grief that hasn't completely healed, it's complicated. Complicated is my specialty. Jake reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of hers, offering, not demanding. I'm not asking for complicated right now. I'm asking if I can text you tomorrow. If I can visit again before I leave. If we can see where this goes, one day at a time, with complete honesty about the challenges. Maya looked at his hand, at his face, at the genuine caring in his eyes. Then she placed her hand in his, their fingers intertwining naturally. Yes, she said simply. To all of that. Yes. Their first real kiss happened later, after Maya's parents arrived to take the children for the night. She'd called ahead, explaining everything. Standing in the hospital parking lot under Montana stars, Jake cupped Maya's face gently. I need you to know, he said quietly, this isn't just physical attraction or adrenaline from survival. I meant what I said about understanding your language. I see you, Maya, the Marine, the mother, the woman who keeps going despite everything. And I want to know more. All of it. Maya's answer was to close the distance and kiss him, her hands fisting in his jacket, 12 hours of tension and fear and unexpected connection pouring into the moment. Jake responded with controlled intensity, one hand tangling in her hair, the other pulling her closer while being mindful of boundaries and the fact that they were still essentially strangers despite the intimacy survival had forced. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. 3 weeks, Maya whispered. We have 3 weeks before you deploy. Let's make them count. Those 3 weeks became a foundation. Jake visited almost daily, integrated seamlessly with Emma and Lucas, helped Maya with mundane tasks that felt significant, grocery shopping, bedtime stories, fixing the disposal in her base housing kitchen. They talked for hours about everything, military service, loss, hopes, fears, the challenge of maintaining humanity in careers that sometimes required violence. They were careful with physical intimacy around the children, but alone they explored the attraction between them with increasing urgency, kisses that deepened into more, nights spent learning each other's bodies and histories, the kind of connection that came from both passion and genuine understanding. When Jake's deployment orders came, they were ready. Not unafraid, but prepared. I'll message when I can, Jake promised, holding Maya the night before he left. Classified means gaps, but I'll send what I can, when I can. I know the drill. Maya kissed him fiercely. Stay safe. Come back to me. To us. Always. He looked at Emma and Lucas, asleep on the couch nearby after insisting on a goodbye movie night. They're amazing kids, Maya. You've done an incredible job. They like you. More than like, they've asked when you're coming to live with us. Maya's admission came with nervous vulnerability. I told them we're taking things slow, but. Jake encouraged. But I love you. The words came out rushed, nervous. I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, but I do. I love you, Jake Morrison. And my children love you. And I'm terrified of what happens next but also hopeful in a way I haven't been in 2 years. Jake pulled her close, his answer whispered against her hair. I love you too. You, Emma, Lucas, the whole package. And when I come back, we'll figure out the next steps. Together. 3 months passed. Messages came sporadically, encrypted texts that said he was safe, that he missed them, that he was thinking about their future. Maya sent pictures of the kids, updates on daily life, reminders that they were waiting for him. When Jake finally returned, tanned and sporting a new scar along his jawline, Maya met him at the base with the children. Emma and Lucas ran to him immediately, and Jake scooped them both up despite regulations about public displays, his face transformed by genuine joy. Over dinner that night, at the same diner where they'd had their first official date, Jake pulled out a small box. Not a ring, too soon for that, but a set of 3 keys. "To my brother's ranch," he explained. "He's got plenty of space, and he's offered to let us stay whenever we need. A place where we can be together as a family without base housing rules or deployment schedules dictating our time." He looked at Maya, at the children. "If you want that. If you're ready to take this step." Maya looked at the keys, at Jake, at her children's hopeful faces. 2 years ago, she'd lost her husband and believed her chance at family happiness had ended. Now, a Navy SEAL who'd stopped in a blizzard was offering a future she'd thought impossible. "We want that," she said, taking the keys. "We're ready." They were taking it slow, no rush to marriage, no immediate cohabitation, just intentional steps toward building something lasting. But standing there in that diner, with Emma showing Jake her latest artwork and Lucas asking about dolphins again, it felt like family. Different from before. Built on different foundations. But real, strong, and full of possibility. Jake caught Maya's eye across the table and smiled, the kind of smile that said he knew exactly how lucky they both were, to have found each other in a blizzard, to have built connection from crisis, to have proven that sometimes the best rescues saved everyone involved. "So," he said to the children, "who wants to hear about the time a seal tried to teach a dolphin to high-five?" As Emma and Lucas erupted into excited affirmations and Maya laughed, Jake reached under the table and took her hand, their fingers intertwining with the natural ease of people who decided to build a life together. The blizzard had brought them together. Love was what would keep them that way. And for the first time in years, both believed in futures that included happiness, family, and the kind of partnership that only came from 2 people who truly understood each other's language. Warriors who found peace. Parents who found support. 2 people who found love in the last place they expected, stranded on a mountain road, choosing each other again and again with every day that followed. Some rescues, they both agreed, were meant to be. The end.